And we're back for some NBA observations. It's Gerald Glassford. Come right back at you here from the Lakers Fast Break and NBA observations. Great to have you here. All-Star break time, everyone, and everyone can take a sigh of relief. It's time to relax, time to enjoy, time to reflect. No, I'm sorry. There's so much news going on always in the NBA. No time to relax. And of course, I got a great guest here who covers the NBA. He's been on this show before talking about the Utah Jazz. And we'll obviously go ahead and touch on them, but also what's going on with the NBA. It is Matt John. Matt, great to have you here. He's worked for Fansided, which so many great places, many great articles. And as someone who covers the NBA, it is always an honor to have you part of the program.
It's an honor. Thank you so much for having me back.
Oh, no worries. Anytime. I know your schedule is busy. I understand that. And covering the NBA as you do, it's busy time. It's that time of the season, especially heading into the All-Star break. But I know we were actually going to have a interview last week, but something happened along the way with Triple J coming your way. We'll start with this. So we'll get, since you are or have primarily in the past covered the Utah Jazz extensively. The Triple J trade was made. Obviously, bright. And let's look at the good side first. Let's look at the positive impact this has made. 3 first-round picks to get Triple J. It was something that came out of left field. I don't think many people were thinking this.
Very much so.
And they're now going to try and make a concerted effort, maybe more than they did before, about getting Walker Kessler so that they can have their Monstars front line to match up with other front lines that are out there, because as far as the more 7-footers you could put on the floor, seemingly better that is. Your thoughts on this, my friend, as far as the trade itself, what you wrote about it and what you covered about it, as far as how it will impact the Jazz, and why do you think they did it at this point in time?
Well, let me start with this. Actually, almost a month ago, I wrote an article saying that, when there were all these Austin Reeves rumors going about the Jazz, I said that's not who Utah should target because they've already got a player like Reeves on the team. I said the player that they should go after was Anthony Davis. I said that's a big man. He's a two-way player. That's the kind of player the Jazz should target. So finding out that they went out and got Jaren Jackson Jr., who I kind of fancy as diet Anthony Davis, I was like, oh, they actually kind of agree with me. So it was kind of crazy to me to see that, they kind of instead, and more than that, they, instead of, taking their chances going after Reeves, I didn't think it was likely Reeves was going to go to the Jazz. Instead of kind of holding their breath, kind of hoping that they'd be in that derby, they went out and got someone who they know will be on their team with JJJ. So there's that. And so overall, I think genius trade. I actually think that was the player they needed. They needed just a two-way big man who can, they won't rely on him for shot creation. He's a decent shot creator, but he's an elite defender, former defensive player of the year. And all odds are they're going to pair him with Walker Kessler next season. I love it. Jumbo-sized lineup. It's going to make Utah so tough to beat. I don't know if you've watched any Jazz games since they've made this trade, but man, even though they are, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. They are blatantly tanking. The games where they've played with him, the vision is there. You see what they are doing, and it's beautiful. They are going to be amazing next year.
Until they get sat down while they're leading by double digits. Which, as you know, was the reason why the NBA, tried to, well, actually did proceed to fine the Utah Jazz for a blatant circumventing of competition rules, I should say. Probably the best way I could say it, because you could say tanking, whatever you guys want to say about it. It's a creative way and a novel way of doing it by what they were doing before when, the slightest injury would cause them that individual to be out for weeks. I don't know. And Markkinen, when they finally get around, you guys get it finally around your team in Utah, finally gets around to being that team next season that you wanted to be. Walker Kessler out there. Hopefully for you guys, he'll be signed. If not, I know the Lakers would love to be interested, which again would be a great coup for us. But he is a restricted free agent, so most likely he'll be retained by Utah. Having him out there decreases the possibility of fouls for Triple J. One of his detriments is that he's probably the one of the highest personal fouls maker of anything out there, of anyone out there in the league, and has been for years. You get him now alongside a 7-footer with Markkinen who can shoot from distance. You've got him on the other side that can shoot from distance, but he doesn't have to worry about going after every shot, every inside play. He doesn't have to go after every rebound because he's not a great rebounder. You've got Walker Kessler, if you sign him, if the Utah Jazz sign him, to take care of all that stuff. So as a way they complement each other, and if it works out and they stay healthy next season, like you said, it could be really deadly because yes, they're all 7-footers. Yes, they'll go ahead and cover a lot of space, but they do so many things as far as their games to complement each other and hide each other's weaknesses. In theory, it looks like Utah could make a really big jump next season.
Very much so. And the funny thing is, you hinted at, one of Jaren Jackson Jr.'s imperfections. He does draw fouls, and he's not even just a meh rebounder for his size. He's a lousy rebounder for his
Yeah.
size. So you know who's perfect? Walker Kessler. He's one of the best rebounders for his size. He actually doesn't get enough credit because the Jazz have been bad for how good of a rebounder he is. Like, Kessler is one of the league's best offensive rebounders, and by extension, also one of the best rebounders overall. Like, you pair, him with JJJ, that covers up so much of his flaws on that end as a player. That feeds into why I think, yeah, like, this was the guy you wanted. If the plan was to flip the switch next season, JJJ, that was the star, and you got him.
Once again, I'm on with Matt John. Please go ahead and check out his work today, part of the Fansided experience on the J Notes, right there for you. He's got a lot of articles right there for you, news, rumors, and more on the Utah Jazz right there for you at the J Notes. Indeed. I want to ask you this, Matt. Again, I think a lot of this, I think the trade was not buoyed by the fact that maybe Lowry Markkinen might not be happy with being out a great percentage of the seasons because of whatever, injury that they might ask him to go ahead and have. I think the fact is that you guys have a point guard now that has really blossomed in this season. I think advanced the timeline. I think that was the major decision. I don't know that for sure. It's just a guess, but seeing it from the outside, George, your point guard, and seeing him develop so quickly into a 20.7, 8 assist type of guy, a guy that can now handle your offense, but also be a threat from as a scorer and a shooter. A guy like that, his development, I think, has sped up the timeline for the Utah Jazz.
No, I think you nailed it on the head. I got to tell you, at the beginning of the season, when last time you had me on, like, the narrative around George was he might be out of the NBA. He might be out of Utah before the trade deadline. Like, he was, like, how good as he's been this season, he was terrible last year.
Yeah.
Just did not improve whatsoever. Like, the leap that he's taken, that's actually what many expected he was going to do last season, and I won't say regression, but his lack of progress kind of played into why last season wasn't just bad, but it was depressingly bad. Of
Yeah.
just like, Utah they were really hoping that he would take that next step. He didn't really do it, taking it now. And I think you're right. I do think him taking that next step as a player played a part in why they were like, all right, next year we're going to go after, we may be taking now. Next year, once we have a high lottery pick, we're going to get a star like Jaren Jackson Jr. Next year, we are putting the league on notice that basketball is back in Utah.
Absolutely. And it sounds like it. And of course, that is all predicated on if they stay within the top 8 picks in this upcoming draft, I believe, as far as it's concerned, because I think the Knicks are the rights holders in case if it doesn't.
The Thunder. You're
The
thinking the
Thunder.
Wizards.
Okay, I'm sorry. I should have just said the Thunder. My gosh, you should just default to the Thunder on everything on that.
Yeah.
So yes, the Thunder, as far as that's concerned, because they also the Clippers and several more teams throughout the next coming years will have their fates decided by OKC. Indeed, but with that though, if they can get themselves into a top pick, will that predicate the development of Ace Bailey? How is that development going? It's not looked pretty at times. And I know again you've got if you re-sign Walker Kessler and he comes back to full health after the shoulder surgery, you've got 4 of those spots filled. But there is that one spot right there along the shooting guard. I know that everybody wants to see Ace Bailey succeed in doing it, but if the draft falls the way you wanted to, I have a feeling Ace Bailey might find himself not liking what may happen out of it.
It's very possible, like that. I actually did write about this just because, like, mock drafts, they're starting to come out, and Utah, they're very much set in the front court, and like I actually think, like, my hot take is that they are tanking, but not to the degree that they were last year. They're just tanking enough just to keep it away from OKC. They're the 6th worst team in the league right now, and if they keep those odds or go get worse, they have, like, right now they have 96% chance of keeping that pick. If it finished, I would say that that's pretty good likelihood. So anyway, point being is that if they are in a position where the best player available is a front court player, it definitely will it could be a problem. I could see them trading down. I could see them reaching out to different teams and say, hey, we'll dangle this pick so that we'll get a guard or something along those lines. Like I, it's the way to phrase this problem is that it could be a problem, but it's a good problem to have because they still have Ace Bailey for 3 more years after this. And he definitely hasn't been perfect in Utah. I actually think as they continue to embrace the tank, we are going to see more of what Ace Bailey can do because they probably are going to rest Keontae George. They're probably going to rest Lauri Markkinen, and they're going to say, Ace, get to work. Show us what you can do. And he's raw, but his character, he's always had the right mindset. Like, I do think that we're going to see like what he does when he's given a bigger role, and that could factor into who they pick should they keep their pick.
It'll be interesting to see how it lays itself out. I know that Darren Peterson, there's now a lot of talk online about the possibility of just sitting out the entire rest of the season. Why go to Kansas if you're just going to go ahead and do what you're doing right now? Because he's already sat out quite a few games for little to no reason. And there's again wild rumors right now. It's rumors right now, but the speculation. But a lot of people are anticipating him sitting out just so he could prepare for the NBA draft, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. Just don't take a spot away from another young man or another young man that is a good quality that could have jumped on to the Kansas Jayhawk bandwagon. I'm not a Kansas Jayhawk fan, but I know as one of the premier basketball places that it was a desirable place for many 3, 4, and 5-star players. So, and that they may have decided not to go because of what Darren Peterson ended up doing. So be that as it may, Darren Peterson could be an option. There could be also AJ Debonsa. There are going to be marquee players at the top of the list. Actually, people are talking about 4, 5, 6 deep as far as the first round is concerned, as far as real impact players. So do you feel that this team is one impact player away from being in the conversation next season?
It's definitely a good question. If you ask me, my hot take was that if you like anyone who was paying attention to the Jazz, like around when the time the season started, could tell, oh, this team is actually not bad. They're not even like subpar. I actually thought they were a playoff team. But then Walker Kessler, he's out 5 games into the season, and he was starting to show there was a little bit more to his game, like 3-point shooting and passing and whatnot. So like I'm curious with their roster construction as is right now, but adding another player, like adding another high lottery pick to a team that even without it is like expected to compete for the playoffs next season. It's definitely intriguing. That like I say this as someone from Boston. I have seen the problem when you have too much talent on your team. Like the problem is there isn't a set pecking order. Some guys are like in Boston when they had Kyrie Irving, Gordon Hayward, and Tatum and Brown. Like Tatum and Brown were relegated to role players, and they were like, "Dude, we took this team to the Eastern Conference Finals. Why are we role players now?" Like they may accept it, but they may not be okay with it. So I do think that you add a golden lottery pick to a team that is designed to win now. It's obvious. It's a solid strategy to have. Who wouldn't want that? But it's not foolproof, if you ask me, because I've seen that in real time.
We'll see what happens. But again, it's just great to have you here. It is Matt John. He is from the Fansided Network. Go ahead and check out what he's doing today at thejnotes.com. A lot of articles that he's written. He's written them today or posted them today. So go ahead and check out what he's doing today at the J Notes right there, part of the Fansided experience. So let's get into some basketball away from Salt Lake City right here. Your thoughts as we head into the All-Star break? Because again, Utah has been a source of the conversation for not always the best of reasons. Now that we know that Triple J, because of the abscess or the growth on his knee, he is going to be out the entire rest of the season. We Lowry Markkinen, I'm expecting something at any point in time. I know that the league is addressing this tanking issue, and they're going to go even harder going into it next season. The legacy of what Utah has been doing in recent seasons in regards to this tanking. I know that they're always considered the poster child, but they're not the only ones by any stretch of the imagination. So when it all comes right down to it, yes, they're being fined. Indiana's being fined, but whatever drastic measures are taken to try to curb tanking in the future, a lot of that may stem from everything that's gone on in Utah.
I mean, I'm actually planning on writing an article soon enough because you're familiar with Jason Williams, the former NBA point guard. He
Oh
just
yeah.
recently he went on record because Nike's be releasing a shoe. He went on a podcast and said it's Utah players, like when they find out they get traded to Utah, they're not excited about it. And even if I do think it's not that simple, there is a lot of truth to that. Like LeBron James, even if say he leaves the Lakers, he's not going to the Jazz.
Yeah.
But the point being is that like it's why teams like the Jazz, the Pacers, the Wizards, they do this. Like they throw their seasons away because this is the best. It's the most reliable strategy to build a winning team. Again, like I've used this word earlier. It's not foolproof though. There's no guarantee you'll build the title team, but it's the best way for small market teams to build itself this way. And yeah, it's getting shameless. It is, and it's these next 2 months, I should say, are going to be hard to watch from the Jazz because they are going to be bad, and it's going to get worse if you ask me. Like you said, they probably are going to bench Markkinen, they probably are going to bench George, and the NBA can punish them all they want, but it's these what they're going to say to the Jazz is going to fall on deaf ears. They're like, we don't care. We are keeping this pick away from OKC. We're not making the rich richer, and we are building our own future. Like, but if it's any consolation, it's going to stop after this. So yeah.
I think it will. I think it'll be curbed. I think again they're addressing it this weekend board of governors meeting, where they're talking about that. They're talking about expansion. Hopefully they'll talk about the aspiration deal because that's getting juicier by the week in regards to the Clippers Kawhi Leonard saga. So I'm hoping that they'll talk or at least try to address those issues as well. Um, it's a shame though because we head into the All-Star break and coming off the Super Bowl, all eyes should be fixated on the NBA. Okay, if you're on the Winter Olympics, I get that, no problem. But the there's no NHL right now. There's no NFL right now. There's no Major League Baseball. They haven't gone yet to spring training. All eyes should be fixated on the NBA. And with all the stuff that's going on that's not positive right now, it just makes it really hard for the league to put out its best product at the moment.
Very much so. Like last year, if you ask me, it was kind of depressing. Like watching the modifications that the NBA made to try to make the All Star game more entertaining, and I was like, no, guys, this did not work. People don't want to watch G League players go up against NBA players. They don't need that reminder that they're not on that level and never will be. Like funny thing is, like the most entertaining thing to come out of the All Star weekend over the past decade or so, I would say was for all the wrong reasons. It was Fergie's national anthem, which everyone just continues to laugh at anytime they see it.
Yes.
So that's kind of like, but what can you like you Blake Griffin actually brought up the other day that one way the NBA can make things interesting is by bringing back a name for the slam dunk contest. It's easier to bring in names for the 3-point shooting contest. Nobody's going to get hurt shooting open threes. But the slam dunk contest, the most relevant name is like Jackson Hayes. And who cares? That guy's not a star, and he never will be. Like the other ones are like, I'm pretty sure only their team's fan bases know who that is. Like, but compared to 2016 when Zach LaVine versus Aaron Gordon, that was a great dunk contest, and part of it was people knew who they were. Like Gordon's not a star, but he's a recognizable player.
Do you think Mac McClung, who is now, what I believe, on Chicago, getting his cup of coffee there? He's had lots of cup of coffees. Um, do you think him winning 2, 3 times in a row, really hurt the slam dunk contest? Because he said recently in an interview, I believe I'm paraphrasing when I say this, is that I guess the other competitors didn't want him to compete there because the fact that he's going to win it. But if it was a LeBron James going against Mac McClung, if it was some of the superstars that really can showcase their athleticism going against a Mac McClung, that would be different. But do you think Mac McClung winning did the NBA slam dunk no favors?
I'm honestly like, I wish I could comment on that. I like his whole draw is the fact that he's an entertaining dunker. Like like what you brought up, you could make him into a villain, but I think
But
a
he's
lot of
not a name. That's just
he's,
to go to your point. He's just not a name.
he just isn't. And but like to some degree, I think he brought some entertainment value. I guess like a white dude doing dunks is, I guess, somewhat fun to watch because,
Mhm.
but regardless, like it's. I think if anything, the NBA may have just been grasping at straws with
Yeah.
Mac McClung of just
And they
like,
wanted a feel good type of story. And I really wish the kid the best. And I hope he finally gets that contract somewhere. And I really want him to succeed. But I think that the narrative that they were trying to push as a feel good story may have not worked all in their favor. Or am I getting that impression wrong?
I think you're on the money, Mike. And it does sound like he doesn't even care anymore. I think he's just focused on, I want to, it was fun. It was fun. It's like, I don't mean to call him a joke, but it was like a joke where, hey, this was funny the first time, but doing it 3 or 4 times, it's lost its flavor. And I
Yeah.
think even he recognizes that. He's kind of like, no, I want to continue my NBA career, not be a sideshow.
I'm surprised that the league has not asked Bronny James to be in that slam dunk contest. I'll just leave it at that, in that mindset, so to speak. But we head into All Star break with, again, some major questions going out of it. But let's talk about the product on the court heading in there. As someone who watches the NBA and observes the NBA, like many top reporters like yourself do, what are your thoughts about the NBA going in? Again, Utah, yeah, you write about them constantly. We've covered that, pretty good as far as what we've seen, and you covered in great detail on the J notes. But your overall impressions of what's gone on with the league so far this season?
What, with the All-Star game?
No, with the league in general, as far as on the
Okay.
court action, is there something that surprised you? Is there something that's impressed you? Right now, Oklahoma City Thunder 26-1 no longer has the first place overall best record in the NBA. Shocking of all shocking things. Again, what are some of the things that you feel that you should take if you're a basketball fan? I'll rephrase that differently.
No, That's okay. I would say like it's kind of amazing how topsy turvy some seasons have been. OKC looked unbeatable. Of course, I think everyone kind of overlooked how easy their schedule was. They were facing a lot of weak teams in the beginning. The Spurs beat them, and suddenly, like they're not. I wouldn't say they're necessarily tail spinning, but they are showing no, we're beatable. Like you're definitely a beatable team. Like they're actually not even my pick to win it all this year. Actually, my pick is Denver. But and with that, like take a team like Cleveland, a team that was struggling heavily to kind of get their act together after a really disheartening playoff loss. Now they've gotten it together. Now they've added James Harden. Like they went from like this team might be in the play into this team might represent the East. My bias is gonna show up. I think my biggest takeaway is wow, like if Boston gets Jason Tatum back, like they are scary. Like my biggest takeaway would be like the fact that they've had so much success without him, and more than that, like I'll say this: I'm not even surprised Jalen Brown has been that good. I've always believed, boy, just give Jalen Brown his own team, let him go to work, and he's proven me right. I'd say their success is more a product of oh my goodness, Joe Mazzulla is Eric Spoelstra and Greg Popovich level good. Like he's gotten contributions from everyone this year, and that requires just all out buy-in from every single player on the roster. Like that's impressive to me. I didn't necessarily doubt Joe Mazzulla, for since he's inherited the Celtics, but there was credence too. He inherited a really good team when they made him their head coach over Ime Udoka. And I feel like this season has been the no, Mazzulla. He is the guy for the job and then some. He is that good. That has been like my biggest takeaway. I would say overall, Boston's success has been because Mazzulla is that insanely good at his job. I knew Jalen Brown was that good. I knew Derek White was that good. I knew Peyton Pritchard would step up in a bigger role. But like that's only three guys.
Mhm.
And the fact that they've gotten so much from their other rotation guys tells me just how that Joe Mazzulla is inarguably an elite coach.
Once again, I'm on with Matt John. Please go ahead and support his great work today at the J Notes, part of the Fansided experience. And again, you want a lot of articles to read? He's got them for you right there, waiting for you right there. It's like Matt John, Matt John, Matt John, Matt John, right there for you, which is a good thing. Again, as far as the articles keep on coming from Matt John. Matt, I want to ask you this though. NBA MVPs? Is it SGA's to lose? Give me your top five as far as it's concerned. But I think even though he's been out of the lineup for about a week or so, I just think that like you said, Denver, uh, you know, they're like they're there. They've had their injury issues. I'm expecting them to get it all together by that time, and Jokic will go back to his video game numbers. But I really think that he was out too long to be considered the MVP. I think SGA, despite his recent injury, I think it's his to lose at this point in time. But if you feel differently, let me know and give me your top five so far for MVP.
See, this conversation is difficult because a lot of the NBA's best players have missed enough time that they can't get it. Like I believe Jokic is out, Giannis is out, LeBron is out. Of course, I mean he wasn't going to win anyway, but still. Has Wembenyama been out enough time for him
I think
to?
Wemby has. I'm checking on Jokic because I think he's right on the cut line. To be honest with you, LeBron, like you said earlier this week, they made a big like he was not even going to be in the running. I don't know why people were like making a big deal out of that. Nikola Jokic has played 39 of what 54. Let's see, 39 of the 55. So he's missed 16. So he is right there. He is at 66 if he finishes the season. So yes, he'll be just eligible.
So yeah, I would say probably my top five. I mean, if we're talking about like technically they can be in the MVP discussion. Number one, like it probably is Shea, just for the fact the matter is the Thunder up until just recently they were dominating the league. Even though they're not now, that can't be discounted how good they were and like best player on best team, NBA reigning champions, and they did it without Jalen Williams, and I guess fitting him back in has been a bigger problem than anyone could have anticipated. So number one's probably Shea, two's probably Jokic. Uh, three is probably, I would say, probably Wembanyama. Of course, is he out? Is Wembanyama out of
Let me
the?
go ahead and I'll check Wembyama's right now. So San Antonio has played 54 games, and Wembyama has played 40 of them. So no, he's in. He's in.
Okay, so number three, I'd say is Wembanyama. Number four to me would probably be Cade Cunningham. Like
Mhm.
Detroit's having its best season ever since basically the modern bad boy. I should say the bad boys days of the 2000s. Trying to think of like the other teams because it's just so many guys have gotten hurt. Like I'm trying my best not to let my Boston buy a show. Like Jalen Brown's been excellent, top 10, top five. That's a little homer, if you ask
Mhm.
me. So I would say probably number five is probably Luca. Like I think what Luka Doncic, probably what he's done without LeBron, without Reeves for multiple stretches this season, and and the Lakers, by by proxy of being the Lakers, they're going to get so much criticism. Their season has been topsy turvy, but it could be so much worse right now. And I think Luka Doncic, like he definitely has proven, like, oh yeah, the Mavericks really messed up big time by trading. Of course, everybody knew that, but like if it weren't for him, there's no telling like would the Lakers even be in the playoff picture right now if it wasn't for what he does.
So there you go. Again, a lot of people are starting to veer off into different directions because I know when I'm on the show with my panelists on for the post games and whatnot, they have a tendency to see the things so much in Lakers and gold, they purple and gold. They don't realize that there's narratives that other people are following, and like you said, with Wembyama taking the San Antonio Spurs into a much higher realm is going to get a lot of love. Of course, Kate Cunningham, who I think is third right now, just because of the fact that they've done so well, exceeded expectations all season long. You know, they have done a great job, and Kate Cunningham is a great part of it. Jalen Brown, obviously you talk about the sensational year he's having. We don't know what it's going to be like if and when Tatum comes back, although it's more looking like when, but not if. To see how that looks as far as them as contenders. So yeah, it's a very interesting mix. I still think, like you said, default you would have to go with SGA and Jokic as your top two, especially leading if no one else gets injured or there's no other injuries for those two heading into for the rest of next couple months of the season. So I think that's absolutely a great take on that. Your thoughts, though, you said Denver is still your pick to go all the way. I think that's because you're assuming and right to assume that everybody's magically going to get healthy for Denver at the right time. Uh,
Which
you know that's going to happen. It just as a Lakers fan who has seen this multiple times before, it is going to happen. It's just a question of when, not if, for the healing powers in Denver.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Like in the NBA, it's become more imperative now more than ever that if you want to win a title, you just have to be the healthiest team. And the Nuggets, like the reason why they're my pick is I do think Jokic is the most unstoppable player in the league. And they pushed OKC to seven, despite the fact that they didn't really have a whole lot of outside help besides Jokic. They had
Gordon
Murray.
getting hurt is really impacts them.
Yeah, it really does. Like if they have that core surrounding Jokic, it was I honestly like it doesn't get talked about enough how big of an upset it was when the Timberwolves beat them 2 years ago. I was like, how did that happen? Like Denver, like you put like not even necessarily like a super team around Jokic, but just a good enough team around him. And I do think you have a very good shot to be the favorites for the title. So like really does come down to health. Like things can change. Like so much changes. All it takes is just one injury, and bam, you're at the bottom. Look at the Pacers. Like 2025 was so kind of cruel to them. Like it was kind of a roller coaster of inches away from a title to now you're one of the worst teams in the league. So even if Jokic gets hurt again, then it's wide open. I don't even though they are my pick and I have just praised them, I've been wrong before, and so I am more than happy to be like, yeah, if a team beats them, and Denver's healthy, it's because they earned it.
Absolutely. So Who would you have coming out of the East? You mentioned Cleveland because they're on such a good run. They seem to be gelling. They have James Harden, but James Harden obviously has a very questionable playoff history. Boston, when you got Tatum, he's starting to work out 5-on-5. Things are looking more promising as far as his recovery period and how long he will be before he comes back. But then you have the guys on top in Detroit who have been remarkably healthy for any of the teams that have been out there, which is part of the reason why that they're so successful. And they just know how to win against the rest of the East. And as you know, that a lot of the East is just not that good right now. So they are not taking those games for granted, and they're finishing off their opponents. So that's why I believe that they currently have the best record by now. The Knicks seem to have gotten infusion of talent in recent days. Alvarado has been a nice little addition for him. Hit 8 threes the other night. So they now have a new lease on life after hitting the doldrums. Anybody who wins the cup, it's seemingly it just they go in a funk for like a month or month and a half. The Lakers did, the Knicks did. I don't remember if Milwaukee did or not, but
I
yeah,
can't remember if they did or not.
yeah. It just seems like they go in a funk because they give out so much effort in that NBA Cup, which is kind of concerning. Why don't you give that effort the rest of the season? But okay, need I digress. The Knicks obviously will have something to say about, but how do you think things will, or at least as of now, start shaking out in the East after the All Star break?
It's tough because it's all going to depend on like Tatum's return really will factor into a lot of it. Not just say he comes back, is it going to be Tatum when he comes back?
Mhm.
Because like he's like the fact that he's coming back, like pretty much 9 or 10 months after it happened, like it's exciting, but at the same time, you're just like, is he going to be the same player he was? Or and if
Mhm.
he's not, what's the percentage of the player that he was before he got hurt when he comes back? Like I do think that's gonna play a clear role. Like actually, to me, I think like I actually thought some of the Celtics' decisions over the past week or so have indicated to me, oh yeah, he's coming back. Trading Simons, they traded him not necessarily because of what he can or can't do, because Pritchard can slot in and just do his role. They got Vucevic, like, and it's because even though Kata and Garza have actually been pretty darn good, it's actually impressive how well they've played as their top two bigs. Like Vucevic to me is the confirmation of like we think Tatum can cover up his flaws and he can be a huge piece of this team. Like it's interesting because so many East teams, like the Pistons, are the best team in the East for a reason. They really have ascended. Like, but it's hard for me to think because they haven't been at this level for too long. That's what makes me think, oh, this is just another step in the right direction. I do think next season, when they finally get that experience under their belt, they're going to be much tougher to deal with. Like I just like it's just that like all great teams they lose first before they win. The Pistons technically have lost in this era, but I do think they're probably going to do it again. Like what
Mhm.
like so if I had like if Tatum comes back and he is Jason Tatum again, I say it's Boston. Um, but if he comes back and he's 75-80% of Tatum, then I think it's obviously it's a lot grayer. I would say it probably would be like I even though James Harden has a really not trustworthy playoff resume, I'd say Cleveland would be my pick.
Is there any team on either the East or West that we haven't mentioned that you would say to someone out there, keep an eye on them? Just they're very interesting. They're below the radar, but you know what? Just keep an eye on them because you never know what may happen.
Well, it's funny because I think the team that's kind of in the same vein as Detroit, except they are much worse record wise. But I think everyone knows that yeah, they're coming. Is Charlotte like Charlotte's the team that like I remember early in the season I was like, how is this team this bad? This team is so talented. Like they've got Lamelo, they've got all this really good young talent. They don't like I remember thinking they didn't really have a big man, but they've proven yes they do. Like again, I think they're kind of in the same place Detroit was last year, where it's just like, are we going to make? We might not make the second round, but this year's going to be the year where we're letting the NBA know that by next year we are going to be right with you guys.
That's a good choice. Absolutely. Looking forward to that and seeing. if a team similar like Phoenix, which also had some, I guess, low expectations, Jordan Knott's come in there. It's funny because you have two world champion coaches before him that were fired because they didn't succeed in their opinion in Phoenix. You have this guy that's never been a head coach, assistant coach of the Lakers and other teams, and he comes in there and he puts a new lease on life for the Phoenix Suns team. So it's interesting to see. I don't think they have what it takes to make a big imprint in the playoffs now, but this sets the stage, like you said, for something in the future, like in Charlotte.
I actually kind of do regret, talking about Missoula, because I think the overarching point is what this season has proven is all it takes is just the right coach to make the ingredients work. You can have the best ingredients in the league, or maybe you don't, but as long as you have the right cook to come up with the right dish, like that's really all it takes. Phoenix was they had one of the bleakest situations in the NBA, and now they've done a 180. They're not a contender per se, but they are, it's not as hopeless as it once was. And I think Ott is what played a role in that, is who played a role in that.
I agree with you on that. The kind of outlook he's brought in something completely different, and as a team who has a relative new coach who had not had that experience before at that level, I've seen it work one way, and then in case of Ott, as far as him coming in there, I've seen it work another way as well. But JJ has done a pretty good job considering all things. Whether he's going to stay or should be the coach long term, we'll have to wait and see. I think a lot depends on what goes on this season for him and his outcome going forward. But Jordan Ott, again, he brought something different. And when two world champion coaches come in there and they don't succeed, he must have done something and looked at something differently and approach it differently that has caused this turnaround in Phoenix. And I credit, like you said, you have to give him a ton of credit for it.
Very much so. And then it, I think Phoenix's problem, I think earlier was just they had a heavily flawed roster. Like the big three makeup is out of date. And I think it's funny that they traded Durant. They brought in the right coach, but they brought in the right culture. Guys like Dylan Brooks, got a guy who teams hate to face, but your team would love to have. He definitely kind of sets that precedent for everyone to play harder. He's not an all-star per se. He definitely got all-star consideration, but it's kind of bringing guys that connect well with others, I think really turn things around. And who knows where they'll go from here.
Absolutely. But some great NBA observations from Matt right here. Again, I told you it would not be all jazz this time around. Thought I'd go ahead and remix it up for you. It
I
is
appreciate
Matt
it.
John. No worries, no worries. Before we head on out, it is that cheap plug as we've done before.
Mhm.
So please cheap plug away right there what you're checking out and what you're doing right there to cover not only just the NBA but also the Utah Jazz as well.
All right. Well, for any Jazz fans who follow Gerald's show here, if you want Jazz coverage, come follow me and the other writers at the J Notes. We're at thejnotes.com. But if you're an NBA fan who wants just the best NBA coverage, just check out Fansided's NBA page. You'll get some of the best quality writing from the excellent writers they have there. Trust me, you won't regret it.
I told you I mean like you gave me some advice as far as podcasts. I do have a Utah Jazz fan and I did pass that along in regards to some shows for them to watch on as far as the Utah Jazz podcast as well. So yes, your advice was greatly appreciated on that. I know that they're not as abundant as the 5 million Lakers podcasts out there, yours truly included. So, but still, I just appreciate the insight that you give me. And again, anytime you want to hop back on, you just hit me up. All you have to do is hit me up, and we will go ahead and do it. I'll do as many NBA observations as I need to. For instance, Caleb Ponzi, who covers the Thunder. He was just like, I want to talk. I want to talk, and so now we do it almost on a weekly basis. So yeah, anytime you want to go ahead and chat, even if I'm not reaching out to you, please come on board, and I will go ahead and I will set it up anytime, my friend.
Sounds good to me. I am down to talk hoops. And, I'm more than happy to talk Lakers too if you want me to.
You got it. What are your impression of the Lakers? Because again, I don't want to go ahead and force the Lakers on people as far as our
Appreciate it.
conversation is concerned, but it's always nice and interesting. Again, as I said before when I talked to you, I always love getting outside perspectives on the Lakers and how they're doing or what their outlook is going forward.
It's definitely like I don't even know how to describe it because obviously you got like lack of a better term like Luka Doncic was gift wrapped to you guys and he's awesome because he's Luka. The real sad part is that like, and I really wish that didn't have to turn out this way. It's clear that LeBron James's free agency has kind of been a problem because it does seem like I could be wrong, but the writing's on the wall that he might leave this summer. Like I do, like the lake, but at the same time, you know, you got Luca, so your future's set for the next decade. And it looks like you have Luca's right hand man with Austin Reeves. Like, by the way, the JJJ trade, I told this to the Lakers writers at Fansided. I said, oh, that takes the Jazz out of the Reeves sweepstakes. They're not getting Reeves, so you guys are set. Like, that was probably going to be their biggest competitor for Austin Reeves, and now that's no longer the case. So, really, at this point, it's just about adding more two way players. Like, I do wonder who that's going to be. Like the Lakers are going to have some cap room, though they probably are going to max out Reeves. Like I wonder if they're, you know, I take it they're probably not going to keep Aiden out after this year. Like I'm
Well,
actually
they have another. He has a year that he can opt in. He can opt in if he chooses to. It's a player option. So, the DeAndre Ayton experience has been the DeAndre Ayton experience that both Phoenix and Portland have also experienced, and fans are coming to grips with that now. The 12-8 is what you're getting from him.
Mhm.
Again, he is $10 million cheaper than 3 or 4 other 12-8 centers that are out there. So in that context, you're fine. But if you want more and you strive for more and you want a better center, then you're going to have to look somewhere else. But it all depends on whether or not he picks up that contract. Although again, around 10, 11 million, you can move that contract if you really want to.
Very much so. I thought that he was going to be one of the better, like him and Smart. I thought were going to be two of the better bargain bin additions to like in the NBA this year. And from what I understand, I mean, one of my best friends is a Lakers fan, and for all I, for from what I understand, Lakers fans love Smart.
He's
Um,
been hot and cold. Lately, he's been a little warm, a little hot as far as his shooting. His effort's still there. And again, he's been on the floor much more so than the past 2 seasons, which was my biggest concern. So I consider it a plus. At his price point, especially the fact that a lot of people are still lamenting the loss of Jordan Goodwin that his signing caused, I think it's been a good deal. It's been a very good deal. Now, if he wants more, that's a concern. That's a concern I have.
Very much so. Like I'm very intrigued to see what they do this offseason because now the challenge is you got to build the right team around Luca. And hate to say it, like, but it's gonna require more two-way players, like guys who can be on both sides of the floor, who can kind of mitigate Luca's defensive shortcomings. Like I wonder if the Lakers are gonna be kind of like, you know what, screw the past is the past. Let's go bring back Kristaps Porzingis. He has the makings of someone who'd be a buy low candidate this year because he's hurt and he's sick. So like I am like that's just an option out there. But I do think what's really interesting. I talked to a cap guy and I said like, but if LeBron leaves the Lakers and they re-sign Reeves, how much cap space do they have? And he says they have a little, but not enough to go after Kessler. But I asked if they dump someone like Jared Vanderbilt, does that change things? And he says yes, they do. That really does change things.
And a
So
Marcus doesn't opt in for because he's also around 5 or 6 million, but he can opt into the second year. But I'm assuming the way he's playing good enough in his mind that he will probably elect to be a free agent. And the fact that he's been healthy will probably necessitate that. But I think you're right. If Jared Vanderbilt can be moved, that would probably free a lot of things up. The Lakers can free up as about $100 million in cap space technically, if when you look at it across the board, 52.6 million of it is LeBron. But speaking of the 52.6 million or thereabouts, Austin Reeves, like you said, the Lakers have a decision. Will everybody else be out of the bidding and then the Lakers be bidding against themselves for a guy that a lot of people have a lot of questions on. Again, what is the defensive issues and concerns? We saw on Monday night when Jalen Williams took him in clutch time 2 straight times in the key, easy jumpers on Austin Reeves 2 straight times. I, there's a lot of concern when it comes to Austin Reeves, what he can do for you, but what happens when he's not in his bag of tricks is not working as far as getting to the free throw line and things of that nature. Because he like a few other players, SGA and whatnot, really they benefit from getting calls or doing things that will get calls and necessitate calls. Will he improve his shooting? Will he do other things? Will he be able to improve as a defensive player? Because again, the pressure's on. Do you commit to signing him, and how much do you commit to signing him for? Because he's eligible for a 5-year, $241 million deal from the Lakers, or a 4-year, 180 from someone else, barring a sign and trade.
It's definitely one of those loaded conversations. I think like because Reeves has been a great story in LA.
What would you think the Utah Jazz would have signed him for, if I may interrupt?
I think they would have made the Lakers sweat. Like it does sound like that's who they had in mind. But the fact that they went out and got JJJ told me that NBA teams, they do this. They reach out to players' representation and they ask, what are the odds that your client signs with us? And I'm willing to bet Reeves' agent said, oh, don't bother. He's not going to join you guys. Like, but what if we offer this much? Oh, it doesn't matter. Like, so that would give, if anything, that'll give the Lakers a note of confidence that he will re-sign. Like, so I think I'm not sure if you want to give him franchise player type money. I do think he's an all-star caliber player, but I do think he's more of a Kyrie Irving type of that's who you want next to your best player, not your best player. And so and factoring that in, not someone who you pay over $200 million for, but someone you do pay probably closer to the $180 million range for.
Okay. Well, fair enough. Again, we've talked about him on our show as about being the Manu Ginobili, a sixth man coming off the bench for a championship team. We've talked about him being a really excellent third player, but when you get to second player, there are some concerns because of his defense and what it will allow or not allow on that end of the floor. Again, having him and Luka as your backcourt brings you one of the most dynamic playmaking duos in the league, but also on the defensive end does not make you one of the most dynamic playmaking duos in the league. So it's a catch 22 there. So again, the Lakers have to make a lot of decisions going forward. Again, they've a lot of signs are pointing to that as far as Austin Reeves being back with the team, but we'll have to wait and see. But Matt, it's just been a tremendous pleasure talking about the Lakers, the NBA, and your Utah Jazz. Again, let's not make this so long of a distance as far as us not being able to communicate with each other. Again, anytime that you want to go ahead and talk NBA, hit me up and I'll bring you back on like that.
Will do. I definitely.
Absolutely. Once again, it is Matt John. Please go ahead and check out his great work today on the J Notes. There are plenty of articles you can peruse through right now that he has written. Go ahead and be part of what he's doing today right now at the J Notes, part of the Fansided experience. Matt, it's so great to have you back on. Looking forward to having you return whenever you want, right here to provide some great NBA observations.